We get it. We understand. You opened 6 packs. You pulled 14 legendaries, 4 fables, and you're showing the whole world them. We're happy for you. Now let's get back to some damn gameplay and start talking about the gameplay. Fuck that up.
Just coming in hot against all these people that are super happy. I love it.
Let's just talk about gameplay. That's all I want to say. Let's talk about gameplay. Outcast Haven podcast starts now. Here's how we're going to start, and I will start because I'm going to throw you guys a little curveball. Didn't tell you what we're going to talk about. So here's what I want to start with. Something fun, something exciting. Let's talk about Monarch and a little bit about old cards. So I'm going to let you guys guess my cards, and then we'll guess everybody, see if we know each other well. So I want to know your favorite card from Monarch and like a favorite card from an older set now and why you like it and where it's in the deck. I'll start to give you guys some thoughts, but first off, do you guys have guesses what my favorite card is? I think you should know.
Like favorite card to play?
Yeah, what's my favorite card of Monarch?
Equipment and everything included?
Thing included.
Ooh. You like Seeds of Agony.
I was just gonna say, I think Seeds of Agony. I don't know if it's your favorite card, but like I've never seen you get so happy to see those in Banished Zone.
You guys are close. So my favorite card of the set is Shadow Puppetry. 100%. I absolutely love that card. Started putting it in Lavia. It's absolutely amazing in Chain. It sets off the big Enlightened Strike into Command and Conquer. The only place it fumbled is I did do my first run of that into Dash, and I need to pull like the Command and Conquers and Enlightened Strikes and just race Dash and just do the Soul Shackles, which you can't do against Prism, and that's where the Enlightened Strikes and Command and Conquers come in. So what is my favorite card from an older set that I love now?
Command and Conquer.
Any guesses?
Command and Conquer.
Mauvrion Skies.
Art of War.
Okay,
I hated that card. I don't know if I remember telling you how much I disliked that card. Maybe it was because Dane always played it and his damn ninja and it pissed me off. I'll do this, get all these cards. I absolutely love that card, and that's because of Chain. The fact that you can get rid of one of your blood debts and actually play that card in draw too, so it kind of helps you with a dead red hand where you can pop cards back in. And if you're running Tomofendo with your Chain, sometimes you're replacing both cards in your hands for just better cards. It's amazing in that. So that's my 2 favorite. I can't think of what Blake would like. I have guesses for Dane, what your 2 favorite are, and I'm just going to let Dane go next, and I'm going to guess your favorite new card is Genesis. That would be my guess for that. Blake, do you have a guess?
I mean, the card he always plays against me that breaks my heart is Arclight Sentinel, but I don't know if that's his favorite card, but it breaks my heart.
The top 3 to me would have been Herald of Erudition, Arclight Sentinel, and Genesis. I just chose Genesis because, man, when he pulls, even getting 1 time on that, being able to charge a soul, amazing. So, Dane, what is it?
Oh, I do love Genesis. Dude, Arclight Sentinel is so expensive. You're basically saying, I'm going to stop this turn. It's good in Dory to like make her lose markers. Mm-hmm. But like other than that, it's like, all right, cool. I'm just going to delay 1 more turn. And in a game where you're not playing like a fatigue strategy, I feel like it just eats your hand. Even with like energy potions out, like it still is like, I'm going to spend my energy potion, 2 cards in hand, and my Arclight Sentinel. So I'm going to have 2 cards going back at you. Like, it's good, but it's not my favorite card. It's so effing expensive. But I do like it. I will say Herald of Erudition is just such a bomb card. Dude, it enables so much. The fact that it has Dominate, if you can pull one of those like mid to late game where they've kind of used up their armor and you've got like your aura out that reduces the attack power so they're not going to just pop it. Like, it feels so good to get that, pitch to yellow for it. It's got go again, draw 2 more cards. Like, it just enables so much shenanigans that it's It's enjoyable. I like Arrow Edition a lot. So good call.
So then your favorite card from an older set, this is my pick because of what you just said. I'm going to say your newfound love is Yellow Pummel. No, nothing.
No, that's a really good guess. I do like Yellow Pummel a lot. It's what I run in my Prism now. But are we okay? So you kind of did like the what card got the biggest bump with the new set? Because I still think that like Command and Conquer, like I don't know that you love Art of War more than Command and Conquer, but it's got the biggest drastic increase, right?
Right, because I've always loved Command and Conquer. It's one of my favorite cards.
Right. Yep. So we're talking just like which cards got the biggest.
So with Monarch, I went from never playing, sold all my Art of Wars to reordering 3 Art of Wars. So that big of a swing.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that I gotta go with probably Yellow Pummel then, because I never even touched that.
Yep.
Ever. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. But honestly, like still just like Command and Conquer. Even in Lightning Strike, I've been liking more. But Command and Conquer, I think, is better.
Lightning Strike, I went from overrated, and people hate me for saying that. It was an overrated card in my opinion. To now with Shadow Puppetry, and Lightning Strike is insane because it's an 8 go again, and you get rid of one of your red cards. I mean, come on, that's amazing. So here's the tough part with Blake. Blake has been running the older decks as we've been testing, and then as we're running, he gives feedbacks of how he would play it, which really helps when we're playing and he's watching the both of us play. It's good to see if you see another line. So I have absolutely zero guesses for Blake of what, because you've been playing the older deck, so I don't even know.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I haven't really played any of the new Toon decks because I have been trying to take the lion's share of like playing the older stuff, because you guys have been. Jason is fully committed to Chain. Dane has been fully committed to Prism, and I'm interested in both decks. So rather than all of us running them into each other and just having like this redundant testing information, I thought like it makes more sense to test things that I think could be problematic into decks. So if we want to test Chain, we should definitely play it into something like Dorinthia, something like Bravo, that things that could potentially give it some problems because they either go big or they're just super defensive and can fatigue. Into Prism, like I think like Katsu and Dorinthia are things that we should like keep testing to try and see if we can figure out the right way to play those decks. So like I haven't really played like any of the new decks. I think the other night I played a Chain deck, but it was probably like 4 iterations old by this point. Just because I was like, I'll play Chain. I've been watching a lot of Chain, but I haven't played it. So I honestly don't know what my favorite card is from Monarch, because even honestly, I added cards to Dorinthia and tested with them and just took all of them out and went back to basically old Dorinthia. I was like, shoot, why are we trying to put a new air filter on a Lamborghini? Like, it's not doing anything. It's, this is dumb.
I mean,
so it's like, let's
have an old air filter on there that's not working.
Right. But
it's working fine.
She's got everything she could possibly need. These new cards do absolutely nothing for her. If somebody found something special, let me know. But so far, I found that Dorinthia is just still Dorinthia.
Did you test with that new Dawn, whatever, the thing that has it's the Dorinthia ability on a stick if it hits?
Dustpath Pilgrimage. Yeah, it doesn't. It just the issue is you still need double go again. So it's like that card from hand plus 2 go agains is really hard to do. Maybe in a build with like where you're in a matchup where you're playing Refraction Bolters, like maybe it's good into Chain because you can just go super wide.
Refraction Bolters. So that was my guess for your favorite card. Actually, it was going to be Refraction Bolters because I know you love that thing.
I do. What's actually okay? So you know what? There it is. You triggered it in me. Talking about Refraction Bolters. My favorite card is Valiant Dynamo. Because I've been playing a lot of Dorinthia.
The one where it's you block over and over and over again. Sorry.
That's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Is Refraction Bolters the old Dorinthia legs?
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yep. The old ones. What
they're called.
Valiant Dynamo. I'm telling you right now, Valiant Dynamo is busted.
It's a 6. It's like a 6 to 8 block over the course of a game because you're swinging twice every turn. For the most part. So it's like I'll block for 1, and 1, and 1, and 1. And that it's 4 break point that like, or that 3 power break point that everyone like just held dear to. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna block 4 every turn with 1 card from hand. So it's like, God
So stupid. It's
damn you.
insane. It's absolutely busted in a ninja. I'm like right now I'm telling you, it is so broken in a ninja because you're gonna swing twice every turn and you're gonna get a Kadachi for free every turn.
I almost, Jason, when you said what my favorite card was, when you mentioned Herald Air Edition, like, yeah, I like that. But the reason I asked about like the armor specifically is because like Phantasmal Footsteps might be up there as well. Just
Yeah,
because
those are good.
they're so like it just enables so much in Prism.
But
It's
they're
insane.
really good in Aura Prism, especially because you always have leftover resources, it seems
Mhm.
like.
Yeah, feels bad
So
into
you-
like some of the bigger attacks that come in, but like when I'm just looking to
Right.
block like an extra 1, and I know I'm making an aura that turn anyways, I'll pitch a blue.
Yep.
Yeah, have that 1 floating, use it to block an extra damage. But
It would be
into
horrible in
Ninja
any other
feels
deck,
great.
but in Prism Aura deck, absolutely amazing. And it's
Yeah.
very like it's super super annoying. It's like especially playing chain where you're not swinging huge every time and just getting those 1 extra blocks 3-4 turns in a row. You get to end game, that's the difference between winning and losing a lot of times. So
Yep.
yeah, that's it.
Mhm.
That's an amazing card, absolutely. And I think it's funny because we talking to, and I don't know if we brought this up before, but talking to Andrew with Dice Commandos about he I don't know if we did on the podcast or afterwards. He asked if the block value of cards is
Mhm.
going to be
That was on the
less.
cast.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I said no, they'll still be good. And I think we're kind of coming back and recanting on that they are less because there's so many good cards that don't have block value anymore. And then having these equipment that do much, much more seems more important now. So block values on the bottom it's not like you just try to put all 3 blocks in, because that if you did, especially in the new builds and your shadow builds, and I don't lights the same way, you're gonna have a bunch of horrible cards that do nothing besides block.
Yeah.
I do stand by what I said, where I likened it to like the 0 cost 5Ks in DBS, where that was like the bread and butter, how you won games, making sure that your ratios to 1 for 10 or 0 for 5 were on, like in the early meta, like first 2 to 3 sets. That's how you won, making sure that like you could always combo when you needed to get that attack in to finish. But like now there's a lot of stuff that just like really good cards don't have a combo power or whatever. Like, not to get too far into that, but there's a lot of cards that do a lot more and have a lot of benefit where it makes you want to disregard that. But the good players will still go through their deck and check their combo power. Good players are still going to go through their deck and make sure that they're not stuck with a low ratio of 3 blocks.
I would not relate this at all to that because it's completely different. I think these cards, if you do that and put 3 blocks in against Prism, it's coming in for 4 1s. What the hell do all these blocks on the bottom of my cards? I'd rather have equipment that can do it, like Valiant Dynamo or Phantasmal Footsteps, where you can get those extra 1 blocks.
Dorinthia is gonna chew you the up then, so have fun with
it's
that.
Going to be a race. No, it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I
Absolutely.
think
I think the meta, and this is where we want to go anyway. I think this meta is going to be a race meta in a lot of matchups. Dash chain. These are 25 to 30-minute matches, and it's a race. And if you start blocking, you're going to lose. Plain and simple.
I think one of the interesting counterpoints to that is the fact that like it's really going to depend on the deck, because like I've tested a bunch of Bravo, and I will say like Rouse the Ancients in theory is good, except in Bravo it feels so bad when it's a 2 because of what the deck is trying to accomplish. And I think the same thing in Dorinthia is like there are some of these new cards are interesting that have effects that buff like the second swing. If your next swing gets, plus whatever, it's like hit run without the go again. But it has a 2 block. And in Dorinthia, like what Dorinthia is trying to do is like spend a whole game outvaluing you by saying like you swing at me for, especially with Valiant Dynamo now, and like her loadout being so armor heavy. I think now she has the ability, like to Dane's point, you swing at me for 4, I can use an armor piece and 1 card from hand and come back with 3 cards and potentially an arsenal. So that ability to like constantly outvalue like your opponent in a Dorinthia game really does speak to the fact that she wants a build that's very 3-block heavy, because paired with Valiant Dynamo, it creates this really powerful block effect of always blocking 4s. And a lot of times that's what people are looking for, is that's like your break points in this game that I always explain to new players. Is 4 is a huge break point in attack value, and I think a lot of people are always looking for +1s on their 3 attacks. And into Dorinthia, if you build a 3-block deck, now Valiant Dynamo and the 3-block nullifies that break point that your opponent is trying to meet. And so I think in her build, I think you will still pay a lot of attention to the 3-block, because that's part of what makes her strong. Whereas with someone like Chain, you're just going to go, look, I think I can just outrace most decks, and then I have to adjust my strategy into a different deck. And into Prism, Prism's going, I have to play, these certain types of cards to be really efficient at my strategy. So I have to do it. And I really think it's going to be a strategy dependent thing. And maybe in the past that hasn't been a thing. And that's why it feels like, well, we're just going to ignore it, or we're not going to ignore it. I think it's just strategy dependent deck to deck.
Yeah, I mean, even in Prism, it's 12 to 14 no blocks because of your auras, and then just an ass load of 3 blocks. So
Yeah, but 12 to 14 no blocks is a absolutely enormous number in this game.
yeah, but I mean, I'm still so what do you typically block for on a turn, right? Like it's you block 1 or 2 cards from hand, and you want them to be 3s in theory, and they are in Prism. And the other one is what you're playing.
I think the concern with having no blocks is the fact that I think what happens, and the thing that people miss a lot of times, and this is my personal preference, the reason I like a high value or a high number of 3 blocks in my ratios is because it makes my block options wider. I get to choose which of those 4 cards I block for 3 with, versus being told by the game state that I have a card that cannot block. So that card is a no-go. Now I have 3 cards to choose from. My options become more limited in terms of what my block is.
Yeah, for sure.
And
that's Chain has a lot of 3 blocks. You're not going to block with them half the time.
Yeah, right. Because you want to play them in race, which to Chain's game plan, that makes sense.
And against Prism, you just don't run it. That's probably one of the weirdest matchups that you have, because you're just completely playing. It's much more of a chess match, and it's a slow burn. But it is interesting dynamic of what we're seeing. And even with Lavia, with Brute, with just attacks that have 0 block is insane. We've never really seen that before. You'd see it on an instant or something like that, or a non-attack action. You'll see a low block, but not on an attack. It's just insane to see it on attacks.
Yeah, they've done a really good job of balancing, I think, some of these more powerful things with adjusting those values. Is really going with a block, because before it always felt like the balance in a card was its pitch value, right? Like if a card was really powerful, like Crippling Crush, they're going to make it red, so that way it had a terrible pitch value, so that's how you balanced it. And now they're saying, not only are we going to balance, like we'll not just balance the top, but sometimes we'll leave the top great, like Tear Limb from Limb. It's a blue card, it's a great pitch value, but it's not, you're not going to get to block with it. So it's great for pitch, but it's going to kill you if it's in your hand at the end of the game.
Right. The same with Deadwood Rumbler. I mean, you have the 8, the red, it's a 0 block. It's an 8 strength card, and you want to run it. I mean, it's insane.
Yep.
It's an 8 attack. It kind of forces you to block. Otherwise, you're just going to die really fast.
Yeah. No, but I guess to Andrew's point, though, for like the new set, for the new classes, block value probably matters a little less. But I think that good players are still going to make sure that they're not unnecessarily running just good cards. Like they're gonna be cognizant of the block values, because it's gonna be important that you can still block when you need to. Like in Prism, you're gonna try and use or cycle or like use Genesis to get them into your life and get those auras out, so that late game you are just getting hands of 3 blocks. Like that's what you want to be pitching early, so that late game you're just drawing 3 or 4 3 blocks. And that's, I mean, I don't know, that's just the way that deck runs, because the 3 block is still important.
Yeah, I mean, a a lot of it's going to depend on the meta too. If the meta is very chain heavy and it's a race meta and everyone's trying to go faster, you might be a little more apt to add cards that have a higher damage output versus the higher block value
Mm-hmm.
because you're in a race meta. But I think if everybody, the counterbalance to that is if everybody goes, well, we're going to race chain, so I'm going to put a bunch of, I don't even care, 2 blocks, no blocks, whatever, because I just want to go fast. Then I think Dorinthia kicks the front door in and goes, what's up? And she absolutely mows everybody down because she can block your little tiny pings. And she's going to go, I bet you got a handful of 2 blocks and no blocks. Like, guess who's going to get me counters every single turn and reset my Valiant Dynamo? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that to that point is exactly the reason why I put Enlightened Strikes and Command and Conquers and Chain, because if you if you get into a ping battle, you're just going to lose. And that kind of brings me on to the next point is we're going to start seeing callings here coming up real soon. And we're going to start with skirmishes. Skirmishes are great to get new players that just entered this game on Monarch. My interest in testing those is very low. My only interest in testing Blitz decks right now is I want to test Kano into the new heroes to see if he's still as good as I think he is. But other than that, we've had almost zero interest in Blitz just because, one, if you haven't been playing Classic Constructed, you start now because these games are fast. These aren't an hour-long games. They might be your first 2-3 times playing. Prism might take a little bit longer, but all the other decks, you're going to be 25 to 35-minute games. They're almost faster than an Ira matchup in Blitz. So we've been focusing on Classic Constructed. What are your guys' opinion, like first meta call, if you were to try to predict top 2-3 decks, what would you say would be on the top 8s?
Prism Chain Dorinthia for Classic Constructed.
Yep.
Yep. Prism Chain Dorinthia.
Yep. I mean that's what I would think. I think you're probably going to have some Levia sneak in because she's just so, but I think she can be really swingy and has like a really funky mid to late game if a deck can kind of manage her. But I think that she's going to be one of those decks that's going to be like your classic aggro strategies where you just try to outpace your opponent with damage output. But I think that's going to be early because you're going to have a lot of people who don't know how to play into her in the same way that just happens, right? Like if people don't know how to play into a deck, they're just going to struggle into it. And she's really got a ton of punch to her, but she, doesn't back it up with much after the first few. So I agree with Dane. I think Chain, Prism, and Dorinthia are the going to be the 3 big bads of this meta
for Classic Constructed. For Classic Constructed. Right?
Classic Constructed.
Yeah. And I will say the reason why I think Dorinthia does so well is because Control Dash. I don't see how Dash can beat Prism. Like
even
Dash
with like the high octane and stuff like that. Like that high octane turn is scary, where you can just like get rid of a bunch of auras. But even with that, you still tend to be able to rebuild, block out, and control that matchup pretty well.
Right, that's what I mean. I think Prism out controls Dash, and Dash can't play control in that.
I got schooled a little bit. I need to test into your Dorinthia a lot more, Blake, with Prism, because Matt said that it's unwinnable for Dorinthia, like the way I'm playing it. So I'm doing something wrong.
I mean, the games are always close. I just have a hard time believing that in this game, like any game is. Everybody always says like, well, it could go wide and whatever, and it's like you can block and then swing back with the Phantasm. The problem is, I don't know how. Like even if I don't get counters, like it's the pressure volume back and forth is just going to be really high. I think that matchup. Still, again, I'm not disagreeing with Matt Rogers, but I really do think that matchup is just going to be super swingy and just like a huge blowout battle.
Yeah. I'd be curious to see his list.
And I think Bravo would have a spot if it wasn't for Prism as well. And that seems like one of the most unwinnable matchups is.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to like play another 5 minutes to 10 minutes, I could have won on 40 life into Bravo.
Yeah,
which is silly.
The only matchup less winnable than Bravo into Prism is Kano into Prism.
Correct. Yeah. Kano is an auto loss, and that
was so brutal. That was really fun.
No, it was just dumb. It was dumb. You just took out all your auras. You go you're you swung 3 times, you do like 20 damage on turn 1. I'm like, well, there's no point in continuing this.
Yeah, it's just phantasm, because Kano can't break them. So
Right.
you're swinging free and clear, and
And
he's
anybody
not going to
said,
block them.
well, you rebuild Kano. Well, Kano doesn't work if you put attack action cards. He doesn't.
Sasha would like to have a word with you because he ran some janky ass Kano in Australia and did well with it.
But
no,
let's just be fair that Sasha was like at the time the #1 ELO rated player in the world. So like, I mean, I'm sure that Matt Rogers could beat a lot of people. Yeah, I'm sure if you gave Matt Rogers a janky list of some character, he'd probably still win an event.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, that's why I said my only blitz running or trying to do anything meta with blitz would be just running Kano into these new decks. And I mean, just the starter decks alone, it seems like Chain is, if you buy the starter brick block, Chain is the best in there. It seems like pre-constructed from what we saw with the developers playing with them. You know, he seemed pretty damn strong. So it'll be interesting to see if people try to bring Dorinthia and blitz. I don't know if we haven't tested that. I don't know if that's a race Dorinthia will win or not. It seems like it's viable.
I think Dorinthia is always going to be in constructed. I think she's actually more scary in blitz than she is in constructed, because in constructed, I think she has to be piloted correctly, because it is you're very dependent on correctly playing the turns to gain counters, because counters is where your strength lies in constructed. Like gaining a counter or two effectively blows out turns, because your opponent has to commit whole hand, and if they commit on the wrong turn and they choose the wrong timing and they give you their whole hand and you just go, cool, Twinning Blade or Spoils, one of those two to have a go again, and then you go Glint on the back of it or Spoils before, and then you hit them with the Twinning Blade when they give you all their cards, and then you hit them again. It's just brutal. But in blitz, you just don't care. Counters don't matter. If you get them, you get them, but you don't care. You're just running a deck that's basically 70% red, and you just go, I'll bet you won't block with your whole hand, and I'll bet I'll hit you for 6 every turn.
Right. So that'll be interesting to see what comes from the skirmishes. I mean, I'm not going to go out of my way, I think, to sign up for them. I'll do a couple of the local ones.
What's that? I'm going to, just because I want to play skirmish, because my favorite hero is still only in skirmish because he is a young boy. Dude, Minnowism, Belittle and Minnowism in Benji, I'm super excited to mess with that, because that I feel like enables a ton of the stuff that Benji wants to do anyways, which is early game wants to ping you, force you to use armor, like with unblockables early game, so that you don't lose life too fast, and then usually ends with like a flurry of blows or an enlightened strike for 7 or something like that. That's gonna like hit you hard. So being able to start with a Minnowism to unblockable, hit you for 1 or 2, and then go and hunt. Like, I really think like I just run like 1 blue and 1 red. Blue in case you need the resources, red in case you need the big pump, and then just be able to clap them hard, whether it's with, I mean, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm excited to play it, because now I think literally just because of Minnowism and Belittle, I think that I do run flying kicks again, because I hated the resources there. But
the only issue I see is you have to beat Chain by turn 3, because he gets 3 soul shackles out and swings. You're only starting on 17 life. And now you have to find room for Belittles and Minnowisms. What do you do with your sigils if you're not gaining life?
Oh no, I'm just swapping. I'm swapping my 2 head jabs into leg taps for the 2 blues and 2 yellows for Belittles. And then
so here's the interesting. I think here's the interesting yin and yang of why immediately talking about blitz makes me not want to play blitz even more now that we've played more constructed games, and I'm curious to hear other people's thoughts. I will go to locals and play blitz if there's an event locally. That's fine. I'm not going to go seek out blitz events and blitz games unless I'm teaching people, because that exact like interaction right there with Chain makes me just go, ugh.
Right.
Because here's the thing, right? In constructed, the beauty of Chain and what makes him such an interesting deck is knowing your matchups, knowing who to soul shackle against, who not to, when to do it, how actively to do it, and when it's important is all so important to how you play that deck. It means so much to piloting the deck correctly and not just piloting it into the ground. The problem is in Blitz, you soul shackle every turn because
Absolutely.
who cares? Like
just-
you're not going to play through your whole deck anyway. Nobody's going to get through their whole deck. Even a control deck like Control Ira, I don't think stops. If you get to turn 5 and you just build that thing blood debt heavy and just go, look, if I die, I die. Like I'll die to blood debt, whatever. But if I
Ivan
hit
Drago.
like,
Great man.
yeah, if he dies, he dies. Like I just think like in like Blitz, you have the luxury of just kind of YOLOing, right? Like that's how you play the game in Blitz. You're like, I'm just gonna go for it because who cares? We're playing for the belt every turn. Every turn can be the end of the game. And I just don't like that play style. I've never liked play styles where you can kind of remove some of the skill and replace it with RNG. And I feel like that Blitz can do that sometimes where if I draw a dead hand and you draw a great hand, game over.
Go ahead.
Playing Wizard,
Yeah.
dying on turn 1 with
Mhm.
3 red cards in your hand to a Reinhardt player that draws perfectly.
Yep.
Yeah. Felt pretty bad.
That's like when you
Like-
just hang up the blitz like gloves, right? You're like, we're gonna put the blitz gloves here. We're gonna call it a career.
It right there. I just thought, I sat back after that. I'm like, you could be the greatest player in the world and you would have just lost, and there's literally nothing you could do about it because my
Yeah.
whole hand was intimidated. It was all red. You couldn't pitch to do Kano stuff. It's like it was probably one of the worst feelings in a game I've had in a long time.
Yep.
And to everybody's point, going back to Classic Constructed and not having to worry about dying on turn 1, God, it feels great. Where you
Yep.
just play a game and try to set up. And I do like chain with your Command and Conquers and Lightning Strikes and Mavri and Skies, where I'm not going to shackle every time. I'm going to try to set up going wide without my blood shackles and only hit those when instead of doing 3 hits this turn, I'm going to get 4 hits instead. So I can stretch it out. And then by the time you get to turn 6 or 7 in Classic Constructed, you have 3-4 soul shackles and you have something set up where you can take a hit and, like you said, actually pilot a deck properly. That is amazing, and I'm excited for. And if you're excited for that, you should be watching our videos and seeing it, because we do a good job, I think, of talking through our mistakes and trying to see optimal gameplay or
I'm patting myself on the back right now. Just like, yeah, it's awesome. Good job, guys. We do great.
Well, no,
We do
I
great
just think
stuff.
we really try to practice properly.
Yeah.
When we're doing that, it in the whole, like, when we're right now, the whole take backsies thing, we want to do take backs because we want, if you did the less optimal play, that doesn't help me become better and see how good my deck is. Yes, take it back. You just saw something better. Let's play the better card so that it makes both decks and better.
Well, yeah. So like if you watch our Prism Leviah video, like I was like, oh, I totally forgot to sideboard in my cards. And in a tournament, I would never do that. Like, it's like, well, one, I would hope that I would know the matchup well enough to be cognizant of it. But like in, throwing a quick match together, it's like, oh, I left my boots and my gloves in, when in reality, I would have the Ironhide stuff in, because I know that that's the better play into that matchup. Yeah, like, so that type of stuff, we're going to be like, oh, dude, these should be this. Like, yeah, so forgive us on that. But we've seen people comment and say, hey, you missed this, or like, that's how this resolves. And we really appreciate that. There's not a ton of it, I like to think. There was like a comment today that someone tried to get me on something. I was like, no, actually, that was only for 6. I didn't lose any shields because I blocked with 2 cards. It wasn't a 9, it was a 6. So there's that type of stuff that, don't be offended when we like correct you and say, actually, nice try, but we
you
did
were
play
smiling while you typed it.
I was happy. Because I looked back, I was like, oh damn, dude, did I seriously forget to destroy Spectral Shields when he hit me? Like, how did I do that? I'm a moron. And I looked back at it and I was like, oh, actually. No, so like, that's that type of stuff we do actually like that feedback. I mean, as long as you're not being a dick about it, like, because if you're being a dick about it, we're just not gonna like you, and then odds are in the future we're gonna just talk shit whenever you comment on our stuff and ask you to probably unsubscribe, but whatever. Like that's type of stuff. Like we do appreciate feedback. So
You might get a special spot on the podcast where we roast you. We won't say your name, but we will definitely roast you, and people will know.
When you catch us on an angry day and when we're all going off and
we're
we're
really
all
spiteful. Yeah.
and vinegar, yeah, it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually like we have there's a good ratio where it's a 1-2, right? Where like two people are kind of pissy and piss and vinegar, and one person's like, maybe it's not a big deal. But every now and then we'll get a day where all three of us are just it's pure piss and vinegar in the comments, and we're just gonna have it. And it's just like that's the day where I'm just like, man, I hope somebody doesn't comment on the YouTube channel something snotty because they're gonna get it hard. Like
yeah, or like the moment I'm like, oh dude, this dude left a comment. It's that same motherfucker. Like posting people's spoil. Moving on. We can move on from this.
I know, but that was fun. That was still fun to talk about.
That was good. I like it.
People can get the inner workings of our brains, and there is a reason that we always say we are the outcasts.
Dude, people either like, oh dude, like these guys, I get it. Or they're like, what a bunch of fucking twats. Like it's one or the other. It's usually not like, oh, I could leave or take them. That's okay though.
Yeah. We don't have a lot of lukewarm people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think. I think we have a lot of people who kind of fall, like the people who are with us on this journey are definitely people who like have a like mind with us, because like the comments kind of speak to that. Typically we have people who agree with us for the most part. And I'm not saying we have nothing but yes men, because I don't think people are like encouraging us. I think what they're saying is like, thank God somebody else feels that way too. And they're willing to say it, because I think a lot of times people can be a little too nice.
Damn.
So.
MetaZoo. Dude, let me tell you about this crap art. No. Yeah.
Oh, that's good stuff. Goddamn MetaZoo. I can't believe anybody looks at that stuff.
I bought like 4 cases.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
My brain just completely lapsed. I had a segue and I can't think of it.
What were we gonna segue into? Rules?
No, I was gonna. Yeah, we can touch on that. I just didn't want to get too rule heavy. God, I was gonna do something fun and I can't think of it now. I might. Dane, you segue us into rules while I think here, and I'll have a pen and paper to write down if I think about it again.
All right. Well, Jason's having a senior moment here and can't think of what his segue was going to be into the next topic. So, with something that Blake and I are super excited about that came out, comprehensive rules finally released. It's basically everything that we wanted. Like Jason had some questions, but like he figured it out, another senior thing. But like, but no, like it's
you know what? I'll tell you a senior thing. You make a channel that says recording. I'm on the recording last night. You hop on. Hey guys, you guys recording? Yes, we're in the record channel. It says don't join. You're the one that made it. So there's your senior moment, you son of a bitch.
I'm gonna leave this in just because I'm gonna call you out right now. That it was stated that you like having third parties in there to watch the game. I was just trying to watch the game. I was like, are you guys live streaming? I didn't say recording. I said, are you guys live streaming? Because I want to watch. And it was Ashes Reborn, some trash game. I don't know. But I was like, I played it and it was fun. So I was like, oh, dude, like Jason and Chris, I'm going to check them out and see if I can watch them and like learn a little more about it and be like that third party. Nope, pooped all over. I pop in and I'm like, hey, are you guys streaming right now? Knowing well and good that it's very easy to splice things. And Jason was like, oh man, now I gotta like, and like, I'm like, okay, dude, I'm just leaving then. Never mind. Thought this was a cool thing, but
I have the art of I don't want to edit everything, and I just start. I go and I hit stop.
Splicing is not editing, dude. You're literally like, up, delete.
I told
together, you, move on.
I'm fine because I learned how to splice on the new software that I just got, and my editing went from 30 seconds to 4 minutes.
God. So God help us if we ever learn how to
back
tweet.
To the rules, Dane, but that was a little look into the fun way.
Yeah. So rules. Comprehensive rules. They're basically what we wanted. They've got the layout that we're familiar with. It's very legal-esque. It's got the, we can go into a match and say, no, actually, looking at 20.2.1, this is what this resolution would look like. We you can, I mean, we actually tested it a little bit, like looking at, like the flick flack, like if you want to double buff a future block card, like, or when priority passes, and like looking at how the layers resolve, like that's all spelled out. It does make sense. I think the one point was early on, there's some, like with any rule manual that's well written, you're going to have like those things at the beginning where it's more vague, that if that's all you look at, you're going to go into a match and say, well, it says this. And it's like, yes, in like 1.1, it says that, what I don't even remember what the example was, but like if you play a card, priority pass it, like both players pass priority to resolve it. And it's like, okay, so can I hold priority on playing a non-attack action and then play my attack action without passing priority because I didn't pass it? It's like, okay, theoretically, yes, you can totally do that. That's a game state that you can enter into. But if you look at how layers resolve later in the rule book, and you're looking at like 19 point whatever, like you'll see that stack resolves top to bottom. So if you did play the non-attack action, then an attack action, the attack action would resolve. If you didn't pass priority, the attack action would resolve, and then the non-attack action would resolve, and then that non-attack action, say it's a shadow puppetry, would float until the next attack action that you played. So like like you can't hold priority playing shadow puppetry into something so that they can't do any instance or anything like that. You can, but you don't also get the benefit of the shadow puppetry on that attack. Like it's just, you have to dig into it to know that that's how that resolves. You can't just be like, oh, I glanced at it and like this is how I think it works. Like that's gonna still cause headaches. And I love the fact that we're going to be able to say 17.4.1. Actually, this is how this resolves. That's fantastic.
See, now all I want from LSS is if they would give me like a way to like have this printed in like a little pocket manual, so I can like literally throw the book at people when they're wrong. Yeah, I would. Yeah, they're just like, no, this is how it resolves. And I'm like, wrong. 18.4.2 says, and then just throw a book at them and be like, look in there, look it up, just look it up. I do love the fact that they put it with the numbers and all those kind of things, because I think it breaks it down really well, and I think it lends itself to being very clear and concise and being able to break it down. I hope that the next thing that comes out is like a formal judges
program
test.
Hell
yeah, like a judges program. And then I hope that they do something. So one of the things that I actually love that they do in Dragon Ball is they have a private judges group that you have to actually be a judge to be a part of, because then they can discuss rulings that are problematic privately without doing it in a public forum where everyone can see in the comments and throw their 2 cents in, and you can have judges using the actual like reference points in the rules and old rulings versus new rulings and how those things work. Not because I want us to be a part of like a private group and be like, yeah, well, we know everything.
We already
or
are.
Because
we
already are.
We already talk about all of you behind your backs.
We talk about how dumb people are already. So we don't need another group to do that in. But I want the rules and the judge programs and the judge things to be very formal, so that way it's not kind of loose. One of the things that always bothered me in Destiny was that someone would say, well, we need a TO and we need a judge for this event, but there was no rules surrounding that. Like there was no requirements for it. And most of the people who were like quote unquote judges were just people who were like, yeah, I've played since the beginning, so I know stuff. It's like, you can't have things being ruled differently at different tournaments because you don't have a formal program where people can actually request information from other judges.
With a hierarchy of judges as well.
Yeah, there needs to be a hierarchy. Like I think we've said it before, but in Dragon Ball, it's like, oh, these are all the judges. Like these are level 2 judges, and then there's David Fashbender, who is like the be all end all. If Fashbender says it, it's gospel to the judges because he's the one who makes the final say. And it's like I think it's important to have somebody like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my senior moment is over.
Oh, thank God. He's
Yeah,
back, boys.
it'll
We got
it'll be
us there.
back. It'll be back soon. So two things. I'm gonna end on a PSA today, but one thing that's super exciting that we're seeing coming out of New Zealand is unlimited. I really like what they did with the unlimited cards. They did two things that are super amazing. One is they just did the subtle little circle. So instead of it filled in,
Mhm.
it's just a subtle ring circle to distinguish between first edition and unlimited.
Mhm.
Or is what do we call it? We call it, what was our cool name we had?
Alpha,
Peasant.
Alpha, and Peasant. Yeah.
Alpha and
Alpha and
Peasant.
Peasant edition. Yep.
It wasn't alpha. It was something
No.
else because I
What
said
was it
no
called?
alpha. I said no alpha, Dane.
You
You're doing
did.
this on purpose, you son of a bitch.
I can't remember what you actually said though.
I don't remember. It was good. It
I
was
don't
really
remember either.
good.
Yeah.
So that's
Our group,
awesome.
we're really funny in our group chat. You guys are
You
missing
guys-
out. Like
You guys
Amazing.
should feel left out for sure.
if you sign up to our $5 a month Patreon, you can join in. I'm just kidding.
Shoot me in the face. All right.
It's
Anyways,
Or not four. We're gonna give you 5 dad jokes a month for your $5 entry fee into the
Yeah.
Patreon.
That's
Plus
right.
all this amazing fab contest and senior moments absolutely free.
Everything I edit out, you just get to watch it uncut.
So the other cool thing about unlimited, which if people start talking, maybe these are worth anything, I'm gonna come to your house and slap you in the face. Okay, that are unlimited. Don't even say, but it's different. It's gonna be no. You're gonna get slapped in the face. Is they have different card art for some of the cards. I think that's really cool.
The funny thing is that I think that what you say is the alt art, like the unlimited art is not the alt art. The unlimited art is the art for the card. The alpha art, sorry, Jason, the first edition art is the alt. That's the alt art. So don't be like, oh, unlimited, it's gonna be worth more because like look at the new art, the different art. It's like that's not the different art. That's the art that's gonna exist.
Yeah.
Unlimitedly printed. So yeah. Blood spill, whatever that one was. What was it? It's not blood spill invocation. That's wrong. That's from
It's
earlier
called
set.
extended art, Dane. It's called extended art. I don't.
Is it extended? I thought it was just different. I didn't know it was extended. No. I'm not talking about the extended art. Is it extended?
The extended. Yeah. No, it's not extended.
It's just different. What? It's just different. It's just different.
We'll just call it different art.
It's not extended though.
No, I'm saying in first edition, you're saying that's the extended. That's not called alt.
No.
No. Yeah. So the art coming out in unlimited is not alternate arts.
No,
those are not an alt art.
No,
that's
just
the art.
That's
the art. Yeah.
And in
the
first edition, we have in first edition
alternate
we have extended
version.
art in alt art.
Yes,
we have both.
Yep.
Well done. We got there. We got there.
It's craziness, guys. And this is going to move into my PSA for the day. Little public service announcement.
Jesus, I have no idea what this is going to be.
If you're at home, if you're in your car, just grab a pen and paper, put your hazards on as you're down the middle lane of the freeway so people know that you're writing. So when you pull a card that you haven't seen before, you don't need to come onto the fan page and ask how much it's worth. There's these things. It's www.tcgplayer.com and www.ebay.com. Filter your results, go to sold completed auctions. You can see not only what has sold, but the exact price it sold for in the day it sold for. And it takes you about 30 to 45 seconds. Much better than waiting an hour to 2 hours and then getting a ton of just really smart ass comments and bring out all the haters of the world. So just remember, www.tcgplayer.com and www.ebay.com. That's my public service announcement.
Okay, I like where it went. I was worried that you're gonna just people that were excited about getting good pulls. I was worried you're gonna shit all over them, kind of like with the intro. And I was like, but that's kind of cool. Like, yeah, dude, get excited about the good cards you pulled. But that is a good PSA.
Yeah. Looking for a card,
or better yet, you can subscribe to Patreon where we'll give you that same information, but it'll cost you money.
Yep.
So that's good too. Check that out.
Instead of going for free, You can pay money.
I'm gonna have to cut this out. God damn it! I really
Yeah.
want to keep it. God.
You can just hold that one forever. Then
That's
when we have
just
more.
that's
You
just
can
for us.
Keep out the name of who you said there and leave the rest.
I'm
So
actually gonna.
nobody's gonna
I'm
know.
probably gonna bleep it out.
I mean, we only hate on a few people. Like I said before, I said in a Facebook post, I love everybody in this community and hate just about 3. And hate's a strong word. I just strongly dislike about 3 people. And one of
Yeah.
them's already been pretty much banned from everything. So that's what
Yeah.
happens when you mess with me. Okay. You just get banned from FAP.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yep.
He's not the Godfather. He's the person that got hit. Just happened to be a pretty human being. So
Oh, one of the worst human beings I've ever encountered.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about that. That's
Yeah.
over with. Other than that, I don't know if there's anything you guys want to hit for this week. Just we're gonna keep practice testing till.
Yeah.
And I will say it's actually overwhelming the amount of testing that needs to be done right now. It's
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
been interesting to see other people's takes on the testing too. It does feel a little bit, vindicating when you like do testing and other people kind of have similar results in testing and they're kind of giving you similar feedback to some of your testing things. So that's been good. I'm excited because I feel like we're kind of honed in on the 1.0s of at least a couple of the decks. So I know people have been asking, we've been mentioning it, so we can, we're gonna get Chain and Prism are coming out. We're adulting is definitely hitting hard. Jason's got a lot of games for his son, and I've been trying to get a huge project in around my house, and Dave
I'm trying to get
married,
grass. I'm trying to get
so-
grass to grow in my backyard right now for our backyard wedding. So we just
from single to instant family.
Yeah,
I did. And I just dumped about 500 pounds of like manure compost all over my backyard seeded. So we're getting grass. I don't care what it takes. We're gonna have a green yard for our wedding.
Yeah, so we're adulting hard, and we're trying to also keep our testing levels high, and then bringing like the extra content is just stuff that's it's taking extra time, but we're getting there. So hopefully Chain will be out this weekend is the goal, because we're gonna try and record that after the podcast. We're just gonna make for like these mega recording sessions and just do it all at once.
Yep. But yeah,
100%.
anyways, Jason, any last thoughts before I close this out?
I'm just excited to be playing Monarch. It's been great.
I'll
Great
cut
testing.
that out. All right, everybody. So all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for yet another podcast. Definitely appreciate you guys. Make sure you comment below what you're excited for. Like if you want CC to become bigger, more mainstream, if you're looking forward to Blitz because you like the young heroes, the faster pace. Like we love seeing like what the people that listen and watch us are really into, because we want to be able to tell you that you're wrong and you should be excited for CC only. But definitely be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us stay motivated doing this stuff, seeing that people are actually digging our stuff and wanting to participate in the comments. Make sure you leave your feedback, and we will talk to you next time. Peace.
See you later.
Deuces.